guys, welcome to Zakai Maths. This is the second part of June 2020 paper 2. This is a calculator paper, remember. Please have your calculators next to you and go through question 14 to 29 with me. Any questions, please write in the comments below and I can try and get back to you as soon as possible. Question 14. A marathon takes place each year. In 2020, there were 6,500 runners. Prediction: for each of the next 3 years, the number of runners will increase by 5%. Okay, so this is going to be a compound interest then. Repeated percentage change is what we have here. So we need to remember the formula. So we have principal, which is the amount you start with, 1 plus the percentage as a decimal to the power of n, which is going to give you the amount of years, which in this case is going to be 3. So 6,500 is what they are starting with. It's going to be multiplied with 1 plus 5% as a decimal. This is 5 out of 100, so that's going to be 0.05. 0.05 to the power of 3, because there are 3 years, and when you type this into your calculator you're going to get 7524.5625. So the predicted runners for 2023 in that case should be 7,525, as we can't have 4.5 of a human being. Okay. Therefore, yes, more than 7,500 runners. And that's how we get full marks from this question. Question 15 is rearranging this formula to make C the subject. Okay. So I'm going to rewrite the question. A is equal to B out of C plus 5. What we need to do is we need to take 5 away from both sides first. 5's gone. Then on the left hand side we've got A minus 5 is equal to B out of C. I can times both sides with C now, but I'm not going to expand the bracket. I'm going to leave it as it is, because it will require me to do a lot more steps. Because we're trying to make C the subject, I could now, this side, left hand side, is C times A minus 5. I could divide both sides with A minus 5. So that's gone. C is the same thing as B out of A take away 5. And that's how we get full marks from this question. Question 16. On a restaurant menu, there are 22 main dishes, of which 411 are gluten-free, 7 rice dishes which are all gluten-free, 5 naan breads, of which 40% are gluten-free. The meal deal is on the menu. Choose 1 dish, 1 rice dish, and 1 naan bread. How many of the possible meal deals are totally gluten-free? Let's find out how many of each of these is gluten-free, and then we can, in the end, when you're doing combinations, you're going to need to just times the numbers to find out how many combinations you're going to have. So 22, 4 out of 11. So that means if I find out 4 out of 11 of 22, which 1, 2 is 8, we have 8 gluten-free for the main dish, 7 gluten-free for the rice dish, because all rice dishes are going to be gluten-free, that's what it says, and 5 naan breads, of which 40% are. Okay, so we need to find out 40% of 5, which is going to be 2. We've got 2 gluten-free. So in the end, because it's combinations, as I said, we're just going to be multiplying them. It's going to be 8 times 7 times 2, and in this case we are going to have 112 possible gluten-free dishes that we can pick as a meal deal. And that's how we get 3 marks from this question. Question 17, we have a cumulative frequency graph in front of us and they're asking us to estimate the median, which is the middle value. So if the maximum value is going to be 200, if I halve 200, 200 divided by 2 is going to give me the median, which is going to be 100. So on the cumulative frequency section, I'm going to go along 100, and as soon as I touch the curve, I will go down, which is here. And that is 83. So it's 83 grams. Question B is apples with mass 90 grams or less cost 32p each. Apples with mass more than 90 grams cost 39p each. Okay. So anything less than 90 grams, which 90 grams all the way up to here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections. It's 4 for each little square. So this would mean that this is going to be around 1, 5, 6. So there are 156 apples that are less than or equal to 90 grams. This would mean that I will have, to just total it up to 200, I will have 44 that are greater than 90 grams. Okay, so if 156 of them are going to cost us for 32p, when I times this, it gives me £49.92. And the other 44 will cost us 39p, which gives us £17.16. When we add them, it should give us £67.08 in total. And that's how we get full marks from this question. Right, let's have a look at question 18. It says this shape is made from 2 right angle triangles and a rectangle. Work out the size of angle X. So we've got 2 right angle triangles and a rectangle. So we know that, if I just quickly sketch it for you guys, we know that this length here and this length here is going to be the same. Okay, so if I find out what this length is, I would be able to find out, I will be able to use that section there to help me to find out the angle X. So how can I find this green section here? What I could do is, I could just go back to my previous triangle and I can use SOHCAHTOA because I've got a right angle triangle, I've got an angle and I've got a side. So I always get my students to draw a Pac-Man and I say in front of this Pac-Man is going to be opposite. What you have in between the 90 degrees and the angle is going to be adjacent, and what you have up here is going to be your hypotenuse, which is right opposite 90 degrees. So I know that the section I'm looking for is going to be opposite. I was given the adjacent, so that would mean that I'm going to be using O and A. So if I write down SOHCAHTOA, I know I'm going to be using O and A, which is going to be tan. So that is tan X is equal to opposite divided by the adjacent. The X is the angle that we've got in the triangle here, which is going to be 62 degrees. So I've got tan 62 is equal to opposite divided by the adjacent. Adjacent is 5, opposite I have no idea about. I'm just going to try and find it out. I'm going to write down 5. I need to times both sides with 5. So 5 times tan 62 is what I'm looking for, and that will give me the opposite. And when I do that on my calculator, it's going to give me 9.403. So this section here is 9.403, which means that this section is the same. It's going to be 9.403 as well. So if I take this triangle out, it's going to look something like this. Okay, so you will have 9.403, you will have 12 here, and then you will have x. So when we label the sides again, we've got our little Pac-Man. In front of the Pac-Man is going to be the opposite. Opposite 90 degrees is going to be hypotenuse, and we've got adjacent in between the angle and 90 degrees. The two sections I'm going to be using, because those are the sections that are given to me, are opposite and hypotenuse. So that would mean I'm going to be using sin. I'm going to use the blue pen for this when I'm doing the calculation over here. So it's going to be sin x is equal to opposite divided by the hypotenuse, which is sin. X is the angle that we're looking for, so we don't know what it is yet. I'm just going to write down x. Opposite is 9.403 divided by 12. So when we get to this stage and we're trying to find out the angle, what we need to do on our calculator is we need to press shift sin, which will give us sin -1, and then you type this thing in here using your fraction button. Okay, and that's going to give you the angle, and your angle is going to be 51.59 degrees, and that's how you get 4 marks from this question. So to get full marks from this, we're going to have to do all these steps and write them down, so please make a note of this. Right, question 19. A and B are positive values. Show that 7a plus 2b take away 3a divided by 8a plus 6b plus 2a minus b always simplifies to have the same value. Okay, so there is some collecting like terms here. So we've got 7a take away 3a. That's going to give us 4a plus 2b, because there isn't another b on my numerator, so I'm just going to write that down. 8a plus 2a, 10a. 6b take away b is going to be 5b. What I could do at this stage is I can actually factorize these, and 2 goes into both of these, 4 and 2, and 5 goes into both of these numbers, which is 10. Fantastic. So I can just write down 2a plus b when I factorize, because 2 times 2a is going to give you 4a, 2 times b is going to give you 2b. So we've got 10a plus 5b, so 5 goes into both of them, we said, so we're just going to write down this. So we've got 2a plus b again. In the end, we can clearly see that we can simplify 2a plus b, so that's just going to simplify out, and that's going to give us 2 out of 5, and that's how you get full marks from this question. Right, question 20. A, B, B, C, C, D, and D, E are 4 of the sides of a regular decagon. So work out the size of W. Okay, we're going to work out the size of W, these two sections here. But first of all, what we could do is we need to find something to just work with. So I've got these angles here, and I can find out the interior angles, total interior angles of a decagon, divided by 10, and find out each of these red angles here. And then from there, I can just take it from that step to find out what W's are. So I'm going to write down decagon, first of all. The formula for finding the total interior angles is going to be n minus 2 times 180. It's always the same, okay? N represents the sides. You take 2 away from it and times it with 180 degrees. Because you've got that many triangles, you could fit in that many triangles in that shape. So we've got 10 take away 2 times 180. So 10 take away 2 is going to give you 8 times 180. When I do 8 times 180 on my calculator, it's going to give me 1,440 degrees in total. So there are 10 angles here. So I'm going to have to divide this by 10. 1,440 divided by 10. We're obviously just going to get rid of the 0, so that's going to be 144. So this angle here is 144. This angle here is 144. This angle here is 144. So what I could do here is to just do the exact same thing for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got a 5-sided shape here, so I can do the same thing for this shape that I've got in front of me. So I could do n minus 2 times 180 degrees. So 5 take away 2 times 180 degrees. So that's going to be 3 times 180 degrees, which is 540. So the total of this will add to 540 degrees. I've got 144, 144, and 144. That means if I say that 3 times 144 plus 2w should give me 540 degrees. 3 times 144 is going to give me 432 degrees, plus a 2w is going to give us 540 degrees. We now need to solve it to find out what w is. So we take 432 away from both sides, which is 2w is 108 divided by 2 divided by 2. So w is going to be 54 degrees. And this is how we get full marks from this question. Circle the point that is on the graph of y equals 1 out of x. This is a 1 mark question, and since it's a calculator paper, what you're going to be doing is, you know that your x and y axis is given to you in alphabetical order. The first number is your x, the second is going to be your y. So what you need to do is you just need to substitute this into your calculator, and you will substitute the x values into here. And when you do that, you will realize that 1 out of 2.5 is going to give you 0.4. So since it gives you the same y value here, then that is going to be your answer, and that's how you get 1 mark from this. Second part of this question is giving you a graph that says Leo wants to draw the graph of y equals 2 to the power of x for values of x from 0 to 4. Here's his graph. Okay, let's just quickly have a look at this. They want us to make one criticism to this graph. So when you substitute the values in, 2 to the power of 1 is going to be 2. So 2 to the 0 is 1, which is correct. 2 to the 1 is 2, that's correct. 2 to the 2 is 4. 2 to the 3 is 8. 2 to the 4 has to be 16. Okay, so there's the mistake there. So the criticism that we're going to make for this graph is going to be the graph should go through 4, 16 instead. The graph should go through 4, 16, and that's how we get full marks from this question. Right, question 22. One of these is the graph of y equals 1 plus sin x for 0 to 300. Okay, so we all know that. I'm just going to show you the sine graph on one of these, A, B, C, or D. It doesn't really matter which one I'm just going to be using. I'm just going to be using B. We know that sine graph is going to start from 0 and cos starts from 1. So your sine graph is going to goes through 180 from -1 and then goes back up, something like this. And since you're adding 1 to this, what's going to happen is when you're adding something up, this is a graph transformation, by the way. So if you're adding something to your x, what's going to happen is it's going to make changes on the y-axis, whether it's going up or down. If it was something like this just indicates whether it's going towards right or left. So if it is inside the bracket, you're going to think about it as, is it going towards right, is it going towards left? And you always take the opposite of what it says to you inside the bracket. So if it's -1, it's going to be adding 1. That means it's going to go towards right 1 step. If it was +1, it would be going back 1 step. If it's outside the bracket, it's going up. If it's a +1, it's going up, so you're just doing as you're told. If it's -1, that means you're going down. So this is going to be going up 1 step. So this 0 is going to be on 1. This point is going to be on 2. This point is going to be on 1. This point is going to go up, and this point is going to be up there as well. So it's going to look something like this, which looks like the first one really. Because if it was here, going one up, from here one up, from here one up, from here one up. Yep, it's going to be A. And that's how you get full marks from this question. (23) Right angle triangle ABC is the cross section of a prism. AB is 5, which they're simply telling you what this shape is giving you. They're just writing it down in words. So it's going to be B to C is going to be 12, which is the section here from B to C. M is the midpoint of C to F. So from C to F, M is right in the middle. So that means if you know one of these, you can just double it to find out the full length. And A to M is 16, which is this section here. From A to M is going to be 16. Work out the volume of this prism. So we need to remember that when we're trying to find out the volume of any prism, we're working it out. We need to find out the area of the cross section. And we need to multiply it with the depth or the length. Okay, so how many times this phase has been repeated will give us the volume. So in order for us to be able to find this out, we could find out one of these, for example this one here, and then double it to find out the full length. So how am I going to do that? I can clearly see that this section here is a right angle triangle, so I can use Pythagoras to find out this. Okay, so once I do that, that's again a right angle triangle. This bit here is again a right angle triangle. Let me just use a different color. This is a right angle triangle again. So that if I know this green section, I have 16, and I can just do Pythagoras' theorem again to find out C to M. And from there, I can just double everything to find out C to F. Okay, so whatever I find, I'm going to double it to find out C to F. So let's quickly find out the green section first. So the green length is going to be 5 squared plus 12 squared. So 12 squared is 144, 5 squared is 25, so that is 169. Of course, we need to square root this. That's going to give us 13. So I know the green section is going to be 13 centimeters. So if I know the green section to be 13 centimeters, then the length of A to M is 16. We are going to try and find out the short side. So we know Pythagoras' theorem is going to be A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Two short sides on this side is going to be 13 squared. Let's say 13 was A and C to M was B. Plus B squared is going to be 16 squared. So what needs to happen is, in order for us to be able to find out what B squared is, we need to do 16 squared, take away 13 squared. So B is actually square root of all of this, which when I type into my calculator, I'm going to find it out as 9.3. So if B is 9.3, this is the length that we found, M to F is going to be 9.3 as well. So 9, 9, 18, 3, 3, 6. So that's going to be, let me just write it down, 18.6 centimeters as the full length. So the volume is area of the triangle, which is a cross section, multiplied by the depth. So that's going to be 5 times 12 out of 2. Remember, you're going to do base times height divided by 2 for the area of the triangle. Then that will be multiplied with 18.6, which is the length or the depth. And that gives us 558 centimeters cubed. And that's how we get full marks from this question. Right, question 24. Quadrilateral ABCD is shown. Quadrilateral is four-sided shape, 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. And work out the coordinates of C when ABCD is rotated 90 degrees clockwise about O. So that from the center, it's going to be rotated 90 degrees So you're going to be using a tracing paper here, and when you have the tracing paper, imagine you've got the tracing paper, you just put it on top of your shape, and then you will draw this shape on top. You will then place your pencil or pen where the center is, and you will do rotation of 90 degrees. Okay, how do you do rotation of 90 degrees? If you imagine this point, for example, you want 90 degrees for that point. 90 degrees. It's just going to be one turn. Okay, so one maneuver is going to take you to that point, which is going to be here. You can also like visualize it from here. That's just 90 degrees there. So if that point is there, then you're going to have 2 along, because that bit there is 2 along. It's tilted now. This bit here is going to be 2 down. This bit here is going to be 3 along. 1, 2, 3. And that is going to be there. So this is C. This is D. This was B. And this is A. That's the first section done. Second section is saying then translated by -6 and 2. Remember, when you're translating -6 and 2, so x first, y next. So that means you're going to be going back 6 steps and you will be going up 2 steps, because when it's negative on the x-axis, you're going back, and when it's positive on the y-axis, you're going up. So the x is showing you whether you're going towards right or left, and y is going to be showing you whether you're going up or down. So if I just use a different color quickly, guys, there we go. We're going to be going to the left 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to go up 1, 2 step. So C is going to be here. So the coordinates that they want me to write down for C is going to be, so it's basically going to go like this. No, actually it goes to like that, and then 3 along, 2 up, 2 along. This is your new shape. So this is C, D, B, A. This is the new position where your shape is going to be. They are, work out the coordinates of C. They're asking for the coordinates of C, so it's going to be -5 on the x-axis and -2 on the y. And this is how we get full marks from this question. Question 24b is actually a quite straightforward question, as long as you know what invariant points mean. Invariant points mean that when the reflection is going to take place, the points are going to remain the same. They are not going to change. Circle the equation of the line. So it says when PQR is reflected in a line, P and R are invariant points. So they are going to remain the same. So in order for P and R to stay where they are, it needs to be reflected. Let me just do this properly. It needs to be reflected through this point. Okay, this is y equals -x. How do I know that? Because whatever the y-axis is, x is going to be negative version of that numerical point. So the coordinate of y is 1, the coordinate of x is going to be negative version of that. The coordinate of 2, the y is going to be 2, the coordinate of x is going to be negative version of that. So we need to remember, when it's going through the origin, if it goes this way, because it's going up, it's going to be y is equal to x. If it's going this way, I imagine it as this is going down, and this is going to be y equals -x. Okay, so that is going to be where the reflection is going to take place. So reflected in a line, y equals -x, and that's how you get full marks from this question. Right, question 25. Factorize 3x squared plus 11x minus 20. There are 2 preferred methods to complete this question. Method number 1 is what I prefer to do, is just trial and error. I just try numbers quickly and see which one is going to work when I expand a double bracket. So when I do that when the coefficient of x squared is a prime number, because the only two terms that you could multiply to get 3x squared is 3x and x. Okay, now two numbers are times to give you -20, and then we'll strategically place it inside this bracket so that when we expand the bracket, it's going to give us 3x squared plus 11x minus 20. So the numbers that times to give you 20 are 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. Okay? Now, I can see that if I was to place 5 to this side, it would be 3x times 5, that's 15x. And 4 on this side as a negative. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. 15x take away 4x is going to give me 11x. So this is my answer. Okay? So this takes about a minute. If you're pro at this with this method, then it will just take you about a minute to just figure out what number goes where, and then you can just factorize it. Some people prefer to do it with this method, where I'm just going to quickly write it down. So 3x squared plus 11x plus 20. What we are going to be doing is, you're going to be doing 3 times 20. You do a times c. So 3 times, oh, sorry, this is -20. Just wrote positive. 3 times -20 is going to give us -60. We would like to have combination of numbers to times, two numbers to times to give us -60. And when we separate 11x to write it down individual x's, it will give us 11x. So the pair will add to give you 11x and times to give you -60. So the two numbers that times to give you -60, the first thing that comes to mind is going to be 50, 12 and 5, 6 and 10. I've got 3 and 20. Yeah, 4 and 15 as well. So one of these numbers should be negative, of course, so that when you multiply them, it's going to give you -60. So I know that the two numbers I could use that will help me to end up with 11x in the end, it's going to be this pair here. Okay, I will strategically place these numbers, because what I'm doing right now, instead of writing 11x in the middle, I'm going to be writing down 4x and 15x, and this is going to make more sense when I start factorizing them, and you will see it. What I'm going to do is I need to think about what could go next to 3x squared so that I can factorize them. 15, because 3 is a factor of 15. Okay, now this could be positive 15x, and this could be negative 4x, so that it gives you 11x. Negative 4x goes here, and then -20 at the end. So as you can see, this middle section here is now giving you 11x, so that's what you literally did. Then what we are going to do is, if I just separate this, it's going to be, I'm going to be factorizing these into single brackets. So when I factorize this, it's going to give me 3x outside the bracket, x plus 5. And when I factorize this, 4 goes into both of them, -4x plus 5. You've got the common brackets here, x plus 5 and x plus 5, so that's going to be one of them. And then you've also got the ones that are outside as your other bracket. And this is how you get full marks from this question. Right, question 26. There's a van that can safely carry a maximum load of 920 kilograms. They want to use their van to carry 30 sacks of potatoes, each mass 25 kilograms to the nearest kilogram, so to the nearest 1 kg. This looks like we're just going to be doing upper and lower bound. 20 sacks of carrots, each mass of 7.5 to 1 decimal place, so 0.1. Can she definitely use her van safely in one journey? You must show you're working. So 30 lots of, something, and then 20 lots of something we have. So we need to find out the upper and lower bound of these. So the maximum load that you can have with 25 kilograms to the nearest kilogram, they wrote it down. When it is to the nearest kilogram, I think of it this way: I just halve this, which is 0.5 kg, and then I'm going to be adding 0.5 and taking away 0.5 to find out the upper and lower bound for this. So it's going to be 24.5 is the lower bound, 25.5 is the upper bound. So the maximum weight for this could be 25.5. And the maximum weight for this could be, what I do again, I halve this, because it is to one decimal place, I write down 0.1, half it 0.05. So this could be 7.45 when I take 0.05 away as the lower bound, and 7.55 as the upper bound. So we're going to be looking at the maximum weight to just compare if it is safe for them to do it. So if I've got 30 sacks of potatoes that where the maximum weight could be 25.5, I'm going to end up with 765 kg. And if I have 20 sacks of carrots where the maximum weight could be 7.55, when I times this on my calculator, it gives me 151 kg. So the total weight is going to be 916 kg. And yes, it will be okay, because it was 920. So you can write 916 is less than 920 as the maximum load. Therefore, it will be safe. And this is how we get full marks from this question. Question 27. Right, this is an interesting probability question, so I will need you guys to just pay attention to every single thing I say to you, because I'm just going to try and break it down as much as I can, okay? So there are 20 discs that are in a bag. You've got 11, 11, 11, 11, 20, 22, you've got 33, 33, 44, 44, and so on. 2 of the discs are taken at random from the bag. Work out the probability that the first disc has a smaller number than the second disc. Right. You could have different options here. Option number 1, you could have the probability of 11 first, then you could have 22, 33, and 44. The next option could be 22 or 33 or 44, because you're picking one and then you're picking another. You're only picking 2 of them, okay? So this means that probability of picking 11 is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 20. So when I pick 1, I now have 19 discs left. So when I pick the second one, the possibility I have out of 22 or 33 or 44 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I have 16 possibilities out of 19 because 1 was picked, okay? So it could be the first possibility that I can have is I can pick 11 first, which is 4 out of 20, and I can pick 16 out of 19, which could be any of these, like 22, 33, or 44. So when I times these and simplify, so you're going to be able to use this on your calculator, so you will be able to get the answer of 16 out of 95. That's option 1, okay? For the second option, if I was to pick the first disc from 22, I'm going to have probability of picking a 22 first. The rest of the other options I have will be reducing now because I won't be able to pick 11, because we are looking for a number where it is going to be greater than 22. First disc has to be smaller. Therefore, the other options you have are 33 and 44. So when I picked 1 out of the bag, I now have 19 again. So probability of picking a 22 is going to be, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 22s out of 20. And you can pick the second time round, you can pick 33 or 44 because you want the next number to be greater than 22. So how many 33s and 44? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 of them. So you could pick 22 and 33 or 44. So that's going to be 10 out of, we've got 19 now because we picked 1 out of the whole thing. So that is going to give us, simplified version is going to be 3 out of 19. So I'm just doing it on my calculator and it's giving me this answer. Option number 3 could be, I could pick probability of 33 and move on to 44, okay? Because the next one that is greater than 33 is going to be 44. So probability of 33 is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 20. And probability of 44 is now going to be 3 out of 19 because I already picked 1. I now have 19 discs in the bag. So this is going to give me 21 out of 380. Okay, now these are the probabilities I could have. Then, because each option could possibly happen, so this, and this, it could be this, or this, or this. So or in probability, you need to remember it's going to be adding the fraction. So you're going to have 16 out of 95, or 3 out of 19, or 21 out of 380. So that will be, when I type this in my calculator, it's going to give me, this is a simplified version, it's going to give you 29 out of 76. And this is how you get full marks from this question. Right, question 28. A horse runs in a field. The speed time graph represented the first 12 seconds of the run. After how many seconds had the horse run a distance of 75 meters? Okay, so we know that area under the graph is going to give us the distance. So if I find out the area of this triangle here, which is going to be 4 by 10, so this section here is going to be 4 times 10 divided by 2. So that's 40 out of 2, so that's going to be 20. This is 20 meters. From 20 meters, because we're trying to go over the distance of 75, if I do 75 take away 20, I am now looking for 55 meters more. Okay, so from here onwards, the height is always going to be 10. That means I'm going to need 10 times something to give me 55, and that something obviously is going to be 5.5. So I want 5.5 more from this point onwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5, so that's 9.5 then. Because now this is going to be 5.5 times by 10 will give you 55 meters, and in total it gives you 75. 20 and 55 will give you 75. So this is going to be 9.5, and it will give us 9.5 seconds to run a distance of 75 meters. And that's how we get full marks from this question. Right, question 29 is our final question, where we need to do some cross multiplication. And as you can see, since they're asking you to give your solutions to 3 significant figures, we are going to be using quadratic formula. That's straight away an indication that you need to use the formula. So what we need to do is, when we've got fraction is equal to another fraction, we do cross multiplication, and we're going to be doing 5 times x squared plus 3, which is written down as 5x squared plus 3. Is equal to 2x times 4x plus 1, 2x times 4x plus 1, We'll then expand these brackets, and 5 times x squared is going to give you 5x squared. 5 times 3 is going to give you 15. 5 equals 2x times 4x is going to give you 8x squared. 2x times 1 is going to give you 2x. So we always get rid of the smallest x first. So I'm going to be taking 5x squared away from both sides. And that's going to give me 15 is equal to 3x squared plus 2x. I'm going to then take 15 away because we all know that any quadratic needs to equal to 0 for us to be able to solve it. So it's going to be 3x squared plus 2x minus 15. So we remember that this is going to be A, this is going to be B, this is going to be C. So A is, I usually prefer to write them down so that I don't get confused with the signs. It's going to be negative 15 for C. So the formula for this is going to be negative B plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So when substituted in, it's going to be negative 2. I always substitute everything inside the bracket. In that way, you will eliminate any confusion with the negatives and positives. Because remember, when you type in negative 2 squared in your calculator without the brackets, there are calculators that's going to give you negative 4, which is wrong. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. You will need to put the brackets around it for your calculator to not make that mistake. B is going to be 2 squared. As I said, substitute everything on your calculator inside the bracket. 3 and negative 15 divided by 2 times 3. Now, you will do this with positive first and negative next, or negative first and the positive next on your calculator as 2 separate substitutions. So you're just going to be then ending up with 1.93 and it's not negative, it's positive. 1.93 and negative 2.59. And this is how you get full marks from this question. And this is just a finalized version of this paper. There were 29 questions on here. And if you could answer all of these questions, and this is how you get a grade 9. Thank you very much for watching this video, guys, and see you for the next time round. Have a good day.